There's a couple recent articles that have come out within the last couple months that basically say that if you're a single adult living in the US, then you need between $85,000 and in some cases $128,000 per year in order to get by. Now, don't get me wrong, I know things in the US kind of suck right now. Things are expensive. The prices of things keep going up. I don't really even need to say that. I know you know that. And wages haven't really increased. So it is getting harder to make ends meet. But I want to share my unique perspective on this and my personal opinion, because somehow I've been able to defy the odds on a salary that is not impressive. And I don't need $85 to $128,000 a year to get by. And I'm going to throw this out there that if you're a single male, specifically I'm talking to males because I know what single males spend because I am one. But if you're a single male living in the US and you're spending more than $20,000 a year on living expenses, excluding rent, because I'm going to talk about that in a second. But if your general living expenses, utilities, food, consumerism, all that kind of stuff, if it's over 20 grand a year, I think we have a spending problem. I think here in the US that's actually what's going on. I think we have a major spending problem. And I'm not claiming that there aren't situations where people simply do have a hard time getting by because they have expenses that they have to pay on. But I'm just saying that in general, I think that we are facing a consumerism crisis. I think it's more than just inflation. I think we are just spending too much money. And hopefully by the end of this discussion, you're going to kind of see where I'm coming from on this, because I've seen in a lot of comments on some of my other videos where a lot of men are deciding to leave the US. They're going to different countries so that they can live more cheaply and their wages will get them further in life. But from a lot of the people I've seen talking about that, they say that they're living outside the US spending $40,000, $50,000 a year. And I'm like, my living expenses are half that. And just some background and some context, I retired from the workforce. I walked away from the workforce last year in 2024 in January, at the beginning of the year. And I basically walked away because I had saved enough money that I knew I could get by for about 25, 30-ish so years without having to work, keeping in mind that my salary throughout my entire career was not impressive. I started off in my career in 2005, I made $20 an hour. From there, I worked my way up. I worked the same career in the same industry for my entire career, 20 years. So from 2005, I went from $20 an hour and gradually worked my way up until 2019, which was the point where I broke $70,000 a year. So from 2005 to 2019, I made less than $70,000 a year. And I gradually, over that period of time, gradually worked my way up. So for the majority of my career, I was only making about 50 some to the low 60s. And by the time I got out, I still did not have a six-figure salary. I never invested. I didn't get a pension when I got out. I was not military. I basically saved money because I always believed throughout my entire life that money is very, very scarce and you have to work your butt off and save in order to get by. And that's exactly what I did. So I saved as much money as I possibly could. I lived very frugally, but that didn't stop me from living a full life. I still went out and I did the things in life I wanted to do, and it didn't hold me back from living. And I think that's very important because a lot of people think that if you save money and you want to get ahead, then you have to stop living your life. But from my experience, that's not true. And another important note is that I did not start investing until I got out of the workforce, seriously investing, because throughout my entire life, I was never taught any of this stuff. Most of us aren't, and I think that's 100% by design. But when I got out, I actually bought this lake house. This is my second home, and I paid cash for it using the money I'd saved because I got myself out of debt pretty early in life, and I refused to go back into debt. I built my house, my primary home, in 2009, and I paid it off in less than 4 years using the money I saved. You're going to see a trend with all this because I am in the position I'm in today because of me living very frugally, because of me saving money. But like I mentioned, I bought this lake house after I retired. I paid cash for it. That was in July of last year in 2024. And now I rent this out Airbnb on the side, so that makes me passive income. So I have two homes that I'm paying utilities on, insurance, taxes, all that stuff, and I'm still able to live on about $20,000 a year are my living expenses. So that is what I mentioned before. That's $20,000 a year without a mortgage, without rent, any of that kind of stuff. And to really drive this home, we're in October right now, and I've only spent year to date about $15,000. And I live my life. I live a full life. It's not like I don't go out and do stuff. I'm here at my lake house hanging out. I come down here to hang out with my friends sometimes, take my dog to swim. I spent a little time earlier this year out on the East Coast, took some time off, took some time to myself. I still go out and I buy stuff. I have a business that I started that I also buy inventory for. I'm including all the costs, everything that I've spent, every single cent into that $15,000 that I've spent year to date. And that is why I think that if you're a single male living in the US and you're spending more than $20,000, I think there's a big spending problem there. And I believe a lot of that comes from this consumerism mindset that we all have, because society leads you to believe that you need all this crap, that you need to buy a new car and you have to pay on that car, and you need to have a big house and a big yard, and you have to buy all this stuff and all these designer clothes and you name it. I'm sure you understand, but when you're buying all this stuff, you're bleeding cash. When you're paying for subscription services, you're bleeding cash. When you're buying the newest phone that comes out and you're paying, the top tier level of whatever unlimited plan that it offers, you're bleeding cash. All these things add up. And I did a video about this where I broke down like things that I don't spend money on that the average American does. And in that video, I showed that I was able to reduce my expenses by over $2,300 a month just on not buying a lot of the stuff that Americans buy. And again, I'm not trying to convince you that you need to live frugally. I'm just trying to give you a different perspective on this and maybe open your eyes, because if you're not aware of what you're spending money on and how much you might actually be bleeding money, there's a pretty good chance that you're spending way more than you need to be spending. So I sat down and I did the math on this, and I took the $20,000 a year that I spend on living expenses, and then I took $2,000 a month for rent. I added those two things together, and then I multiplied that by 1.3, which is roughly 30%, which is what good old Uncle Sam takes in taxes. And the number I came up with was below $58,000 a year. So if you're paying $2,000 a month for rent and you're spending $20,000 a year, technically you should be able to get by on a salary that is $58,000 or less. That's about 28 bucks an hour, which is doable. That is doable here in the US. There's a lot of jobs now that pay 20 bucks an hour starting out. When I started, 20 bucks an hour was a lot. Today, it's not really that much, considering some places are talking about raising the minimum wage to like 15 bucks an hour. That's quite a bit of money. That's going to get you pretty close to what we're talking about here. And again, that's if rent is 2,000 bucks a month. And a lot of this depends on where you live, because if you live in a big city and you live in a place that is very expensive, obviously you're going to be paying more for rent. But I have friends that live in very nice, brand new apartment complexes, very spacious. They have gyms, pools, all the amenities, and they're paying like 1,400 bucks a month, 1,600 bucks a month. So it is very possible to own a home or rent for 2,000 bucks a month. It's not possible in a big city. If you're in the middle of a big city, a downtown area, and that's where you want to be, and you're not open-minded to moving away from that, then you're probably going to spend more. But if you're okay with living in a rural community or getting outside the city, you can find houses, you can find apartments for much, much cheaper than that. I have friends that live in apartments now that are still spending $600-800 bucks a month to live there. It's not the nicest place, but it's in a rural area, so it's not like there's a bunch of crime. It's not in a big city. It's not Section 8 housing or anything like that. It's just away from the city. When I bought this lake house, again, this was last year in 2024 when houses are supposedly $500,000. I did not spend $500,000 on this house. I would not have bought it if it was $500,000. So this house did not cost me that much money. It was below $200,000, just for some context. And it's a lake house. I'm looking right now at the lake in front of me. It's waterfront, okay? And that just proves right there that not all houses are $500,000 or $1 million. So if I can buy a lake house like this that is prime real estate, that is going to appreciate in value, something that I can rent out and make money on, then you can find a house in the middle of a field in a small neighborhood somewhere that is going to be much cheaper than this. Do they need a little bit of work? Sure. Just like this house needed some work when I bought it. But if you're a handyman like me, then you can do that work yourself over a period of time. It doesn't have to happen in a day. And you can save a ton of money by doing that. If you want something a little nicer, there are still a lot of houses out there that are below $170,000 or $200,000, which is still way below what they say houses cost here in the US. And I think we're being fed this narrative just to kind of bring us down, just to make us think that there's no escape and consumerism and all these things aren't the problem. It's just the problem is that things are so expensive. But when you actually dig into this and you do your own research and you start looking around at what the world is actually telling you and use your eyes and use your mind, you're going to find that that's not really the case everywhere. And I don't think that we should all be super disheartened by all this, because if you put yourself into that mindset, then you just are led to believe that there's no escape, that you're just going to have to continue to struggle. But again, this discussion, I hope, just shines some light on this and helps you realize that you don't have to struggle. It does not have to be this way. You 100% can live a very good life if you live frugally. You don't have to struggle to get by if you're making $60,000 a year. But the key to all this comes down to reducing your living expenses. That's the main point to all this, is that if you're spending money and you're paying on all these things, if you're in a lot of debt, that's the big thing. If you have a lot of debt hanging over your head and you're obligated to pay on that debt, then there's a pretty good chance it's going to be tough to get by. If you have kids and you have a family and all that stuff, it's probably going to be harder to get by. And again, I know there are certain circumstances that are going to keep you from doing this. If your health is in a bad spot or you have some sort of financial obligation that's kind of out of your control, it makes sense that it's going to be harder to make ends meet. If you have a lot of, let's say, student loans and stuff like that, it's going to make sense that it's going to be harder to make ends meet. But again, if you're spending money that you don't need to be spending on stuff that you don't need, then that would be more money that you could pay towards student loans, or that you could pay towards whatever financial obligations that you actually have that you can't get away from. And that is going to make your life easier. If you're living in a place that is very, very expensive and you're willing to move away from the city and drive 30 minutes, 40 minutes, maybe an hour to work, that is also going to make your life easier. For almost 15 years of my career, I drove an hour one way back and forth to work. And that is because I've lived in the city before. I lived in the city when I was in college, and I know that life is not for me. So I live in the middle of nowhere in my rural community because that drive is worth me not having to live in the city. I would be willing to drive 2 hours back and forth to work if it meant me not living in the city. And not only does that bring me peace and peace of mind, but it also allows me to save a ton of money, because when you live in the city, things are more expensive. Anything that you want to do is going to cost you money. And that's one of the big reasons why I hated living in the city, is because anytime I wanted to do something, especially as an 18, 19-year-old, it was going to cost me money. And at the time, I was flat broke. I wasn't handed a cent. My parents never gave me any money. So, I was broke back then. I was making $7 an hour or something like that, and my rent was $400 or $500 a month. I was also in school at that time, so I didn't have much money to live on. And the fact that I couldn't go out and do something for free, it really sucked. It really started to wear on me. So that's why I moved back out to the country as soon as I possibly could, because that life just isn't for me. If you love that life and you have to be around the city and stuff, that's a sacrifice you're going to have to make. But just realize that if you're in the city and you choose to live that life, you're probably going to be spending more money than somebody that's living out in the country. But just know that moving out into the country is not the only way to save money. You can save money by stuff as simple as cleaning up your diet. Because if you're sick and you have to go to the doctors all the time and you have to take pharmaceuticals and all these things, it all adds up. Being sick is very, very expensive, and that's coming from somebody who's been very, very sick. I was on the brink of death for almost a year, and I was spending a lot of money at that point in time, and that was all out-of-pocket money. I had health insurance, yes, but I had a high deductible plan, and it was still costing me a lot of money, even with insurance. So I know how much being unhealthy can be, and it might sound kind of counterproductive to eat healthy and think that you're going to save money, but fact of the matter is, these foods and stuff that are out there, all this junk food, is actually way more expensive than eating healthy. I've actually talked about that before on this channel and my other channel on YouTube, and I broke down all the different kinds of foods and how they market this cheap food to us, making us think it's very cheap, but actually it is more expensive than if you were to go out and buy chicken breasts or if you were to go out and buy chicken leg quarters or drumsticks or ground beef. These foods are much more nutritious, number one, and number two, they're also going to put your health in a better place, which is going to save you money because, again, you're not sick at that point. So the compounding effects of making these small, simple changes, it ripples out. The things that seem like they're costing you more money up front, in most cases, they're actually going to be saving you a ton of money on the back end. And that's something to keep in mind. And I could go on and on about this for days. I mean, there are so many ways to save money. There are so many ways to live frugally. And I would say there are so many ways to enlighten yourself to this, to lift the veil from your eyes and to see things for what they actually are. But I don't want to make this video 2 hours long. I just want to provide this additional perspective, provide this context to the situation, because I think this is very, very important, because the fact of the matter is the cost of things are going to continue to go up. I talk about this in a lot of my videos, but AI data centers are coming in. They're causing utility prices to rise because they're sucking up all the water and all the electric. And then on top of that, AI is going to be taking more jobs away. I think inflation is probably going to continue. I don't really see wages rising anytime soon. So overall, I really do think that it's going to continue to become harder here in America. And if we don't get ahead of this, if we don't think about alternative ways to save money and to get by and to live frugally and to make it easier on ourselves to live and get by in America, then we're going to have a hard time. We're going to really struggle. So hopefully this discussion just gives you some ideas on some things that maybe you can look into. Maybe you can do a deep dive on your finances and really do an audit on how much you're spending and see if there are ways that you can cut back. And I'm willing to bet that there are. Because again, I think we really have a big spending problem here in the US and probably at this point in the world. But until we realize that and do something to reduce our expenses, things aren't going to change for us. And I really want to continue to help people with this as much as I possibly can. So I created a newsletter, and it's free to join that newsletter. I'm going to put a link in the description below if you want to sign up. It doesn't cost you anything. I'm not going to spam you. I'm just going to provide weekly insights based on my life experience. And hopefully those insights help you live a more free, fulfilling, and intentional life. I've also created a community on School if you want to join that. I'm basically taking all the things that I've learned throughout my entire life, I'm documenting all that stuff, and I'm dumping it into School. And if you want to connect with me and other like-minded people, you can also join the free Discord server. There's over 200 members on there now. We just get on there and hang out. You can DM me. We chat back and forth. That's a pretty awesome community as well. So I'm going to continue to build this empire. I'm going to continue to put as much information out there as I possibly can, because I genuinely believe that getting back to community, getting back to unity, shared knowledge, and shared resources, that is how we win.